The media is the most powerful entity on earth. They have the power to make the innocent guilty and to make the guilty innocent, and that's power, because they control the minds of masses. Malcolm X. Malcolm was way ahead of his time, yet he was very present. He raised the issues that highlighted the hypocrisy of our society. Throughout his life, he chose debates as a medium to put forth his opinions. His indelible morals and opinions opened the door of unlimited hate for him, yet he stood by his community and raised his voice. With his razor-sharp public speaking skills, he busted the propaganda aimed at the black community. So, how did Malcolm X enter the world of debates and politics? Who are the victims of his propaganda-bursting debates? And has society changed since Malcolm's assassination? Let's find out. But before we start the video, make sure to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon if you haven't. Malcolm had a rough start. It was extremely tough being a black person in the country ruled by white racists. His father died in a car accident when Malcolm was only 6 years old. However, his mother believed that the Black Legion killed her husband. In addition to this, rumors that white racists were responsible for his father's death were widely circulated and were very disturbing to Malcolm X as a child. Soon, Malcolm got involved in drug dealing, theft, and gambling when he had to separate from his mother. At the age of 21, he was sent to Norfolk Prison for larceny and burglary. Then, he decided to dedicate his time to himself and become a better man. Despite being a school dropout, Malcolm became Norfolk Prison's most famous former inmate. In a self-description, Malcolm expressed feeling physically miserable and evil-tempered as a snake. Despite these challenges, a fellow inmate motivated him to seize the educational opportunities available in prison. With only an 8th grade education, Malcolm delved into studying the dictionary, engaging in reading, and actively participating in English and Latin courses offered within the prison's educational programs. Motivated by Malcolm's earnest efforts for self-reform and education at Charlestown Prison, his sister Ella initiated a letter-writing campaign. The goal was to secure his transfer to the Norfolk Prison Colony, renowned for its inmate educational programs with affiliations to prestigious institutions like Harvard, Emerson, and Boston University. Malcolm actively supported this campaign, articulating his aspirations to delve deeper into learning and broaden his skill set. At Norfolk Prison Colony, Malcolm experienced a significant improvement in his living conditions with a personal cell and increased physical freedom. Engaging in the weekly debate team became a turning point for him. Once initiated, he found the experience exhilarating, comparing it to the thrill of discovering knowledge through reading. His compelling rebuttal in a debate on the abolishment of capital punishment garnered attention, earning him a feature in the Norfolk newspaper, The Colony. During his time in prison, Malcolm joined the Nation of Islam, a burgeoning black Muslim movement led by Elijah Muhammad, based in Chicago. However, his independent perspectives led to conflicts with the prison administration. Consequently, on March 23, 1950, Malcolm was returned to Charleston Prison for his refusal to comply with the prison's inoculation policies. Following his release in 1952, Malcolm found employment as a minister of the Nation of Islam. Utilizing his adept communication skills, he launched a newspaper for the religious order and quickly became engaged in national debates. Malcolm's impact extended to the Norfolk Prison, where he popularized debate. By 1966, the Norfolk Prison Debating Society achieved an impressive record of 144 wins and only 8 losses, competing against prestigious institutions such as Harvard, MIT, and Princeton. The Norfolk Prison Debating Society inmates initially proposed topics directly addressing the harsh realities of their lives. Unfortunately, this approach led to serious conflicts within the prison. Subsequently, Norfolk authorities opted to censor the deemed controversial topics, aiming to regulate and minimize the frequency of disagreements among the inmates. The censored topics encompassed issues related to criminal injustice, such as compensation for prison labor, the death penalty, and indeterminate sentencing. These subjects were deemed sensitive and were restricted from being debated within the prison. However, prisoners of the Norfolk jail weren't going to step back so easily. They decided to raise their voice against injustice. In fact, in one such debate, Malcolm X assessed that true deterrence would only come from a system with mandatory death penalties, almost perfect detective forces, incorruptible police and judiciary, juries unswayed by human emotions, and a stern pardoning power. What Malcolm X pointed out in 1949 was that deterrence theory relied on a flawless justice system which simply did not and does not exist. In his autobiography, Malcolm mentioned several other debates he took part in. One of Malcolm X's recurring topics to discuss was religion, race, the oppression of African Americans, and how these themes correlated to each other. He delivered one of the most famous and iconic speeches in Los Angeles, California on May 22, 1962. There he gave one of the most quoted statements about his observation of what it means to be a black woman in America. He said, "The most disrespected person in America is the black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the black woman. The most neglected person in America is the black woman." In this speech, he touched on topics such as self-hate. He asked, "Who taught you to hate the color of your skin? Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet?" When Malcolm became a minister, he started addressing racism in America with aggression. He started influencing people with his speeches and debates, which were widely loved because of his intellectual arguments throughout his political career. He was pro-black and believed in reverse racism. Reverse racism is a term used for discrimination directed against a person or people based on their membership in a dominant or privileged racial or ethnic group. Malcolm's first TV interview. He used to believe that America was not a nation of black people. In his first TV interview, interviewed by Louis Lomax, he said that this is a white man's country and the Negro is nothing but an ex-slave who is now trying to get himself integrated into the slave master's house. He used to despise white people and those associated with them, even if they were black. In the interview, he boldly declared, "Now, how can any Negro, man or woman who sleeps with a white person speak for me? No black person married to a white person can speak for me." On several occasions, he referred to white people as devils. When asked to clarify what is the reason behind it, he said, "History fails to record one single instance in which the white man, as a people, did good. They've always been devils. They always will be devils, and they are about to be destroyed." His aggressive take against white people became even more violent with the release of a documentary, The Hate That Hate Produced. With this, Malcolm's popularity soared, and he became a threat to Elijah, the Nation of Islam leader. By 1960, Malcolm was undertaking political activity in violation of NOI ideology. He had also begun to doubt the validity of Elijah's claim to be Allah's messenger and Elijah's moral scruples. When John F. Kennedy was assassinated in 1963, Malcolm delivered a speech that seemed to indicate that he was pleased that Kennedy had been assassinated. This led to Elijah suspending Malcolm from NOI. He perched to reply with hate and violence if any black person is greeted with hate and violence. In an interview, he said, "I would call it violence. I think that they should be made to know that. Anytime they come into a black community and inflict violence upon members of that black community, they should realize in advance that the black community can speak the same language. Then they would be less likely to come in." Malcolm X versus Bayard Rustin. The civil rights movement was led by one of the most influential black activists of that time, Bayard Rustin. Bayard Rustin was a nonviolent activist for peace and integration and inspired critical debates within SNCC. He was especially influential with the Nonviolent Action Group, NAG, that formed at Howard University. NAG organized a series of campus debates in 1962 under the heading Project Awareness. The first of these was a debate with Rustin and Malcolm X, then a leader of the Nation of Islam. Rustin stood with a total commitment to nonviolence and integration of black people into American political and economic systems, while Malcolm argued that nationalism would liberate black America. The topic of the debate was separation or integration. This debate showed how Malcolm knew what he was demanding for his people. At the start of the debate, he established that Negro deserves to be respected and celebrated on their land. He said it involves the creation of a black state for the black man, if not in America, then somewhere on this earth. If not abroad, then here in America. Primarily, it involves acquiring some land that the black man can call his own. If the powers that be don't want it here, then they should make it possible for us to do it somewhere else. Rustin, advocating for integration, said, "The United States belongs to no particular people, and in my view, the great majority of Negroes and their leaders take integration as their key word, which means that, rightly or wrongly, they seek to become an integral part of the United States." But Rustin and Malcolm presented their points. However, Malcolm stole the show. People were struck by how skillfully Malcolm tackled the debate and presented the challenges faced by the people of the black community for ages. His unbendable morals earned him the respect of the black community. He said, "If the black man in America is not recognized as a first-class citizen, we don't feel that he is a citizen at all." The debate, unlike the debates we have today, set an example of how two men with drastic opposite views can present their opinions. Malcolm, with his calmness and ability to burst propaganda made by the media, always did what was best for his community. He spoke about the issues that are relevant even today. While decades of efforts have made conditions better for black people in this country, we are still far away from a future where there is no discrimination.